Howdy Pinheads, Koji here. Wanted to go over this mod I've completed for Gottlieb's High Hand pinball machine. Something I've been kind of looking forward to getting to for a long time. I want to make it clear first that this game, a lot of people argue it doesn't need this mod, and I'm 50-50. I can totally see where they're coming from, and I agree with it, especially when this game is set up pretty much like this one set up. It plays very difficult, and it's very rare that you may even get all the drops down because I've got it just set up pretty at a difficult angle. Not so much that you have too much control over it, but at the same time still lateral enough that you're going to end up in the out lanes a lot, and it is quite challenging to hit all of the drops down. And when you do, it is quite a neat challenge to actually be able to kind of bounce the ball into the special. I also want to point out that anyone who has this game might consider the 3-ball rules, which, well, obviously with 3 balls, it's going to be even more rare with a difficult setup that you would even get all the drops. So potentially, maybe this isn't the mod for you, but I kind of took it on as a bit of a challenge. It's something I've read about ever since I first picked up this machine. You can go back in time on those was it alt-rec pinball groups, and you can look back 20 plus years and see people chatting about this game and wondering, hey, I got this high hand, and I hit all the drops, but they don't come back up, and yeah, no, that's the way it's designed, and blah blah blah. And people talk about, okay, well, how can I make them reset, and people talk about different things, but of course, without sort of looking at the overall rule, things can get kind of screwy because obviously, do you want the drops to always reset on your out hole? Probably not, because the whole point of this game is to escalate in that single player wedgehead perfect format with all these drops to be able to escalate your play and actually get to that point where you've hit all of the drops down. And if you've got the game set up so easy, at such an easy incline that you can do that on 1 or 2 balls, then the game's going to be boring anyway. So have a difficult setup and make it hard. But at the same time, when you do that, sometimes it does feel like you're kind of bouncing the ball around, and there's nothing really particularly to do other than trying to get that funny bounce and trying to get it to land in that special, or maybe even intentionally try to work it into the outlane drain where you're going to collect your maximum bonus. And ball to ball, let's say you have 3 balls, that's all you're doing for subsequent balls. So I was kind of thought, okay, well, let's see what it would be like to actually reset the drops. And a lot of people say, well, forget about high hand, just get the captain card. It always occurred to me captain card had a bit of a flaw as well, though, because you kind of have that same situation where, with the 1 ball, when you have hit all the drops down, if you drain, yeah, they reset. But during that ball in play, you're kind of going for just that same idea. You're shooting for that bonus collect where you're going to be able to stack some wows, which is pretty neat, but it's that same sort of dynamic going on where there's nothing else to shoot other than kind of a lucky shot where you kind of have to bounce the ball in. So anyway, I'm a real traditionalist when it comes to pinball machines, and I didn't want to do any permanent modification to this. So I want you to keep in mind that everything I've done, I could revert it to the original rules with disconnecting a couple of wires, and the whole mod could be removed in probably about 5 minutes, and I'd get some parts back. The parts that I did use were all parts that would have been available in 1973 when this game was made. So I'm pretty proud about that too, because I had to put on that old-fashioned hat to look at how to modify the high hand. I was very tempted and did actually play with solid-state components for a while, and that would have made a lot of possibilities a lot more realistic and things. But to be honest, I had trouble with the AC power and everything, and in the end I ended up just kind of messing with the old relays and kind of enjoying myself, and I just kind of went with it, and I think it worked pretty well, and I'm happy with the outcome here. Maybe it's something you want to consider for your high end. If so, you can let me know in the comments, and I can kind of share what I did to get this going. But anyway, without further ado, I'll try to explain that here. there we go. So this is a normal high hand right now, as far as the play will be with the 5 balls. With the 5-ball rule, your default is going to be, your drops are going to collect 500, and in this case I just have this switch a little sensitive, so it scored an extra 100 behind it. So there. So you can see, I'm sniping all these drops down with 1 ball. So I want you to pay attention. So 500 points for the drops, and 100 points for the behind the drops kind of slings. Now, here's that case. Now, let's say you achieve this position with your high hand. This would be all 5 balls. This would be your whole game right now. Doing nothing but kind of shooting for this hole, or maybe trying to hope for the outline. Now, in this case, let's say I happen to hit the hole. Now the 1,000 points that collected for per bank were your normal high hand rolls, and except for the fact that now instead of just kicking it out and doing a gain, we now have all of the drops reset. Now it occurred to me that just having them reset there still doesn't quite make sense, because, well, what's the incentive? I mean, that's why I did intentionally make it so that we didn't reset right when the last drop was down, because I was like, well, you hit your last drop, but then the whole point of this game is to collect the replay and be able to collect that bonus at least once. So the mod had to do that. So that's where we are now. So we've collected our full bonus, we've spat the ball out, still in play, and we've completely reset the drops. But still, it needed a little more. So here, in this case, I've adjusted the drops so that now, instead of collecting 500, they're collecting 1,000 per drop. Pretty good points in a 99,999 limit score reel set. So complete that. So when those are complete, behind here, you'll notice that instead of 100 points as well, this is now collecting 1,000 points. So this is essentially using the 3-ball rules of high hand into a 5-ball play on the second set when it's reset the drops. In the case of this, let's say that at any point during this game, if you do just drain, nothing happens. It's just going to spit the ball. It's not going to reset the drops or anything. All of the drops need to be down, and you need to actually collect it doesn't need to be a special, but it needs to be a bonus collect. When you collect your full bonus, it will, on either an out hole or on that on the bonus collect hole, when it spits the ball out, it will reset the drops. So let's just go over this. So no reset, because I don't have them all down yet. In this case, oh, that was the out hole drain. Never mind. And in the case, because it collected the bonus, it then had to hold there for a while, so there is a hold relay there. When the motor does the full turn after the bonus collect, the out hole will kick in. That's when we do our reset, because we have all the drops down. Drops then reset and spits the ball out. And at this point, you've let's say you've made it to 2 cycles of the drop. Your same rule set is still in there. The 1,000 points per drop and 1,000 points behind there. And then you can continue. Again, this is normal high hand rule here. And yeah. So that's pretty much the game. I think it adds a lot, because you have that incentive as a player. It's going to be 1 bonus collect either there or there, and that's going to get your drops to reset. Hopefully that'll keep things kind of going a little bit more fresh for the player. It's never going to be like just that kind of dead area, dead space, no matter how the setup is, if it's easy or hard or whatever, and they happen to get to that stage. I like the enhanced rules. I think that's kind of neat. All sorts of possibilities with this mods on this game. The playfield layout is so conducive for this, and I guess that's why I really kind of pushed myself on this, because it's such a shooter's game. I mean, it's a 16-drop classic Gottlieb wedgehead with a beautiful art package, the 3-inch flippers. You have it really neat shots, especially on those top ones, long bombs to hit the drops, and this game is so underrated just because of these freaking drops not resetting. So here you are, folks. The drops can reset. It's not a huge mod to do. You can do it, and it turns it into a real shooter's game. And there's so many more possibilities as well. Like, it wouldn't be too difficult to enhance this further and have a shoot a game, for example. I didn't want to get into that too much, or maybe even try to find ways to increase the scoring even further in the second round or third round. All sorts of possibilities with this. For now, I'm kind of happy with it. Kind of worked out so nicely as well in the even on the main board, where the factory game of High Hand comes with 2 empty slots for relays on the main board, and that's all I needed. So it looks really clean. It other than the kind of nylon wires, nylon insulated wires that I ended up having to use, the game does look quite. It can be made to look quite factory underneath there as well, because, like I said, it's all using the parts that would have been available to the designer in '73. Yeah, I guess that's about it. I'm pretty happy with the mod, but if you have other ideas or suggestions, please let me know in the comments. Either plus or minus if you think that the rules are a little too OP maybe, or not enough, or you think it's a good balance. Be glad to know. Give me more incentive to look at other changes. Again, everything that I do is easily reversible, as these machines and their history is very important to me. But at the same time, I mean, this is a fairly rough machine to begin with, and it's just fun to kind of make things kind of age a bit better, I guess, for a modern sort of play where we're doing a lot of home tournaments and that kind of thing. I am looking forward to seeing how this one would do at one of our local tournaments, though, and see how some of the top players would do on it. See if they still fear it like they do apparently with the original High Hand. All right, thanks a lot for watching. Good night.